Hey, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me for season 2 of the Personal Finance Guest Speaker Series. My name is Rob Phelan. I'm also known as the FI Educator Online, and I'm excited to be back this year. We learned a lot last year from our virtual guest speakers. We had 16 of them join us throughout the school year with tons of experience, ideas, different ways of looking at things, and I hope you really benefited from that. If you're looking for those videos, just check out the YouTube channel where you're watching this. It's the FI Educator YouTube channel. You can find all last replays. They are wonderful to show in the classroom, to watch on your own or with your family. But today is a very special one. Today is all about the hustle, and I mean the side hustle. We're going to be talking about making some extra money because, let's be honest, all of us could use a little bit of extra money. I'm sure there's very few of you watching who are like, I got enough, I'm good. So I'm joined by Hassan Thomas, who is one of the best experts I could find to talk about just different creative ways to make some extra money, particularly from a young age. And that's what I'm really looking for here, is that young person perspective, not the 60-year-old who has retired and started their side business and it turns out to be successful. I want the person who is starting off at that younger age and who's really like killing it from the go. So Hassan, welcome. And how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am awesome. I'm really glad to have you on. It's been a long time. We met back at a conference called FinCon, which is a place where financial content creators go to meet and hang out and share cool ideas. And that's where I got to know Hassan and all the kind of really cool stuff that he's doing. So we're going to do this in a way that, if you haven't done one of these before, Hassan and I are going to talk about side hustles. So we'll present a little bit about it. We'll discuss some ideas. Particularly, I want to pick his brain about what he thinks. And then we're going to have a Q&A section at the end. So if you are watching with a classroom, please just let your teacher know if you have a question. They can type it into the comments feature on YouTube and we can answer questions that way. If you're watching the replay, feel free to drop a comment in there and we will try and answer it whenever we get a chance to. You also should have a presentation kind of document to go with this that has some guiding questions for you, things that we're going to talk about today that you should be able to answer by the end. And that can be a great one, teachers, if you are watching this and you want to use it in your classroom. Great way to get students focused on what they should be learning from this. But let's get started. So, Hassan, can you tell us a little bit about you? Very short, very brief. Who are you? What do you do in the personal finance world? I would love to hear more.
For sure. So everything really started for me in 2020 when I went from college to COVID and started my entrepreneurial journey. I started with the podcast, started with the FYI FLI podcast. We dropped the first episode in August of 2020. And since then, we've actually accumulated about 50,000 downloads, been listened to in 50 plus countries. And just last year, we won the podcast of the year at the Southern Entertainment Awards. So things have definitely been trending in the right direction. I've used the podcast to write 2 books. My most latest book, From College to COVID to Recession, actually won #1 new release on Amazon for teen and economic finances. So with that book, what I did, I'm 25. So when we had the 2008 recession, I was about, 10 or 13. I can't remember how old I was, but I was, super young. So I went, interviewed about 5 economic experts, put their, expertise and analysis in the book. Then we talk about making and managing money. And that's what we're going to be talking about here today, is making some of that money. So I have about 8 different side hustles that you can do online, from home, in the book, From College to COVID to Recession. And we're going to be talking about 4 that I selected here for you all today. Drop some of those gems. So I'm super excited to be here, man.
All right. What does the FLI stand for on your podcast? So for FYI, for your information, but what's FLI?
For sure. So it's a little abbreviation, a little word play. So it's for your information, financial literacy, and investing. So instead of that Y, it's an I for financial literacy and investing.
Love it. Okay. So let's get into the side hustle, making extra money for yourself. Now, most of our audience are going to be high school students. You're probably sitting in a classroom right now. And I would say if you surveyed the room, there might be 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of you who have already earned some money on your own. I know I started earning money from a young age. I had parents who they didn't dissuade me from buying things. So if I came to them with something ridiculous, like, hey, I want to buy this, the one that comes to mind for me is this remote control train set that I really wanted. And my parents, full on knowing that this thing goes around in circles, I'll be bored of it in a week. And it cost like $150, which, back in the 90s, this was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, no, that's dumb, they said, well, actually, we're not going to buy that for you. But if you want to spend your own money, you can certainly go do that. And of course, I'm like, well, I don't got any money. So how am I going to do that? I'm like, well, go earn it. How can you make some money? And that was really that push that got me started with, like, I collected recycling bottles and I traded them in for, your quarters or nickels or dimes in New York. Started a piñata company when I was in high school. I was hand making piñatas and selling them. So yeah, it's one of those ones where if you have a why, you need some money. Entrepreneurship is a great way to create money for yourself. You don't need someone to hire you and pay you, which is the big one. Why else should we be starting businesses?
Definitely. So I think a great reason. I do want to point out what you said. Having that why is huge for all the teens and everybody listening. Having that why is huge, because I can tell you, save your money. I can tell you to go out there and make $1 million. But if you don't have a why, if you don't have a end goal, a reason on why you're doing it, that vision, then you're just going to be, going onto different lanes, taking different detours. But if you kind of have that why, you're on that right path to the road to riches. You're on that right path. And if an obstacle comes up, you can, switch lanes. But if you have that why, you have that end goal, then boom, you're still on that right direction to where you want to go. So I think that was huge that you mentioned that. But another reason to start a business is to solve a problem. Solving a problem is what creates value. And whenever you have value within your business, people will pay you for that value or that solution that you're bringing to them. So I started FYI FLI because I knew that if students were graduating high school, were graduating college without that financial education, then it's literally difficult for us to be successful adults, because everything we do pretty much revolves around what I have behind me right here is that money. It's those 10 francs. So I wanted to make sure that, high school, college, and recent grad students have some type of resource, have some type of solution to problem of not being able to or not knowing how to manage money. Because we're natural born hustlers. We're gonna go make money, but I found that the true problem is the managing of that money. So that's where I personally wanted to solve a problem. So for everybody listening, figure out a problem where you or your company can be that solution, and then that's when you'll start seeing things rolling in as far as impact, income, and you should be having a little fun with it as well.
I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see students of mine make when they start their own businesses. Is, so we'll say, I want to do a t-shirt business, or I want to sell my artwork. And when I ask them, well, what problem are you solving? They kind of can't come up with an answer for it. Now, there are problems, of course, that you could solve, but if your business doesn't solve a problem, then you are faced with the scenario of having to convince somebody else to buy something that they didn't really need in the first place. But if you're solving a problem, they have a need, and you're simply stepping in saying, oh, you've got a problem, I've got a solution. Here's how much it costs. Are you interested? And if your solution is good enough, it's going to be such an easy decision to say, yes, this is a great exchange of value, and selling becomes very easy. It shouldn't be this big, intimidating thing.
Can I add a quick point to that, Rob?
We do. Go.
Yes. So during 2020, when George Floyd and a lot of the black activists and things were, really, really popping around that time, what black businesses received was a lot of support. People were pouring money, people were buying products only due to the fact that they wanted to support, because of what was going on with George Floyd, police brutality, all those different things that we went through. But as 2021 came, 2022 came, 2023, those black businesses and minority businesses were kind of dying off because the original spike in their sales was due to support. Support doesn't last forever. A need or an issue will always be there. And if you can be that solution, you will always be needed and you will always be valuable. So that's where you have to build up enough value within yourself, within your business, to always remain valuable.
That's it. It's like if you're relying on the charity or the goodwill of your friends and family, and not being they're being too kind to kind of say no, you'll make a couple of sales. It'll start great, but it'll die fast because you won't have a true solution to a problem that people really have. So that's a really good one to remember. Okay, so before we're going to dive too far into that, because this is really starting to think about developing your idea, just on the why side for doing this. We've talked about creating more for yourself, solving problems for people or in your community. Those are two great reasons to start a business. Another one is that it's a cool opportunity to teach yourself some new skills. I feel like there are things I've learned from starting my business that school could never teach to me. The idea of finding a solution to a problem is kind of a school-based idea, but to do it in real life is totally different, I feel like, than in theory. Creating something for people that they really want, responding to feedback and adjusting what you do, taking customer feedback, good and bad, and trying to make sense of it and adjust what you do accordingly. Like, those are things that I don't think school would ever have taught me if I just let school do all the talking. Would you agree?
100%. I was watching a podcast with Damon John. He's one of the sharks on Shark Tank, which is an entrepreneurship type pitch show. And he said, he was interviewing the CEO of ZipRecruiter. And he said the biggest way to know what to do next is to ask your customers what they like, what they don't like, and what that has taught me with business. So I'll be completely transparent, be completely authentic with you all listening. When I was coming up, high school, college, I did not care about nobody's opinion. I didn't care about their opinion about me. I was going to do me regardless. I'm going to be me. You like it, whether or not, I don't care. But once you get into the business world and you have your own business, your opinion, honestly, don't matter too much unless you're going to be the only one buying your product, unless you're going to be the only one listening to your podcast, listening to your music. Then yeah, make your opinion the. But if you want others to listen to you, if you want others to buy your product, if you want others to be involved with your business and your business to grow, then you're going to have to listen to what they want and what they need in your specific product. So business has taught me to actually not be selfish, to not be, self-concerned, but to be more concerned about what people want from me and people want from my business. And then, as Rob said, finding out what they want and then go solving or providing that. So that's one of the big lessons that I've learned is it don't matter what I want. It matters what the customer needs, and we have to go fulfill that need.
And you can start off with like, well, this is something I would use. And there's a great chance that somebody else out there has the same need that you do, and this will solve that problem for them. And that's usually where most of us are going to start, because you don't have customers yet. But as you start trying things out, you start growing, you can start getting people to buy from you. You can start asking like, hey, did this truly solve your problem? Was there something else you really wanted? And that's how you truly grow your business. Like, it might start that way, but you can adapt and grow and pivot. And I just also want to add, like, everyone's going to have an opinion about what you should do and what you shouldn't do. The people you listen to are the ones who are in your target market, the group that you are really trying to sell to.
That niche.
I don't care what best friend thinks. Your best friend is not your customer. If you're planning to sell to them, sure, listen to them. If you're planning to sell to like dog owners in another neighborhood and your friend is not one of those, it doesn't matter what they think. Their opinion is irrelevant unless they've got some really good knowledge to back it up with or experience.
Oh yeah. Definitely got to be concerned with the people that are paying, that are paying for your services. So for sure.
All right, Hassan, I'm going to throw up some walls now as to why we can't get started. I want you to knock these things down for me.
Okay.
So some of the most common reasons I hear from students and adults, it doesn't matter who this is, about why they can't start a business. First one, I don't have enough time. Second one, I don't have the money to get started. Like, it takes a lot of money to start a business. Third one, I don't have an idea already. I haven't invented anything brand new. Anything I've thought of has already been done. Can you knock some of those down for me?
Let's go one by one. The first one, what was the first one again?
I don't got the time for this. I'm a busy high school student. I might do some sports. I might have my academics. I might have a relationship or family. I don't have time for business.
So I'll tell you like this. When I was in high school, I was a student athlete. So I played football, ended up getting a scholarship to go to Maryville College and play football. That's where this ring is from, so you don't think I'm lying. But I was a football player. I had a 4.6 GPA, and I worked at JCPenney. So if I can do it, you can do it. If you can, have time to go play the game, have time to hang with friends, and that's why it's going back to that why. Once you have that why, that purpose, it kind of fuels you to put in that work after school, put in that work out on the weekends, put in that work because you know where you're going. And that's why I've always worked harder than all of my peers because I had a vision. I had a vision of where I wanted to go. I had a vision of speaking on stages. I had a vision of, winning podcast of the year. I had all those visions, so I knew it had to be work that I had to put in to accomplish those end goals, to accomplish that big dream that I had. So for anybody who says that they don't have enough time, that's just an excuse. We make time for what we think is important. So if your business is important to you, you will make time. Like look. I got something good for y'all. Look at what you spend your time on, and look what you spend your money on, and that's gonna tell you your priorities right there.
Oh yeah, it's like show me someone's bank statement and their calendar, and you can tell exactly what they prioritize in life.
Literally.
Typically, but I sometimes I feel like our time does not align with our values or how we spend our money, and that's sometimes part of a personal finance class is just making sure that you are aligning those things up. But
Hmm.
now you're talking about like starting a business and you've got a big purpose, a true calling behind it. If you don't have one of those yet, I'm talking to those of you watching. If you don't have one of those kind of callings or purposes yet, it's okay. You can still dabble in
For
this
sure.
without a very strong why. So say you're going to do a business project in school. The time that you are going to create for this needs to come from somewhere, but also it doesn't have to take up a ton of time. You have to be very mindful about the type of business you start and you create a business that fits the lifestyle that you want. For
Hmm.
example, my business is called FYI Educator. I create digital resources for teachers. I do most of that during nighttime. So, like after my son has gone to bed, from that 8 to 10 p.m. kind of range, I'm sometimes on my laptop, sometimes I'm hanging out with my wife. Like I balance it, but
Yeah.
that is when I create my business and I work on it because that's when I have time to do it. If I created another full time job for myself, of course I wouldn't have time to do it. So just
Hmm.
think about that. What can I do in those moments where I have time? And Hassan's talked about online businesses. Like, how many of you are riding a school bus to school or sitting in a car going somewhere? You look at your screen time on your phones and you see 6+ hours of screen time. Like, there's where your time is that you can start carving out some space to just give a half hour a day to a business.
Yeah, literally just getting started, starting with educating yourself, whatever you want to get into, try to become an expert in that just from putting in your 10,000 hours of work and knowledge building. That's what Kobe Bryant said. Rest in peace to the GOAT. He said to put in 10,000 hours of work so you can become the best. So with me for financial literacy, as you all may know, is just understanding money. That's simply what it is. And for me, what I did, I started to listen to podcasts, watching YouTube, interviewing people on my own podcast. And then I'm writing lessons and turn those lessons into a book. So I'm putting all of that knowledge, all of that expertise that I got from experts, and now I'm becoming the expert. I'm becoming the expert. So for everybody listening, first, educate yourself. And then after you do that, go apply yourself. What I mean by applying yourself is okay, if there's a networking event, if there's a conference, if there's anything that your school is offering around what you want to do, go there. Go there, soak up game, soak up information, and apply some of the things that you've learned because I believe education without application is worthless. So once you learn it, then go apply it. And then after you apply it, reinvent yourself. Reinvent yourself to the person that you want to be, to that businessman, to that businesswoman, to that entrepreneur that you want to be. You've already educated yourself. You got out there and actually done it. And now it's time for you to actually reinvent yourself and be that.
I'm just going to add, like, I'll push back a little bit on the educate yourself first. I think educate yourself while you're doing it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's just get started right now, today. Let's start something and let's learn as we go. Because
Mm-hmm.
this is going to bring us to our next point. The next point is
Yeah.
I don't got money. I can't start a business without money. It takes money to make money. All of these kind of things that we throw out that are like a reason to not start. Can you
Yeah.
start a business with no money?
Yeah, for sure. You can definitely start a business with no money, but it also depends on what type of business is that. What type of business are you doing? Like for example, You could start a drop shipping, and we're going to talk about drop shipping. You could probably start a drop shipping with little to no money based on how drop shipping works. And we're going to dive into that. But yes, I definitely believe you can start a business with little to no money. And it all depends on what type of business that is, who you're serving. And then you need to, of course, like we said, kind of educate yourself while you're out there doing it so you can kind of, you know, switch lanes and pivot whenever you need to avoid some of those potholes that may come up from you know, starting a new business, because that's where, and that's why I kind of said educate yourself first, because if you just get out there and go out there running, you know, say we're, like I said, let's keep this road to riches analogy going. Say we're on the road to riches and we hit a huge pothole that could slow us down, you know, really, really majorly. So that's why I said educate yourself, go out there and get active with it. But I definitely believe you can start a business without any money, make get you a online product, something of that nature, sell it. Now you have money that can be reinvested back into the business. So that can be done for. And then also, if you don't have any money and you're able to get a part-time job, using that part-time job as the bank to fuel your side hustle or your business. That's what I've done. I've just gotten a new job with one of the largest financial wellness companies in the world called iGrad. And I just started working for them. Now I'm using them to, of course, provide value for them, but I'm also using the money that I'm making and putting it back into my business. And I've raised my investments. I've raised all these different things because I'm no longer just going off my own, you know, entrepreneurship salary and the revenue that I'm making. I'm going off a consistent every 2 week salary. So now I've raised my investments. I've reinvested back into the business. So that's a real and true option for you all. When I was in high school, like I said, I worked at J.C. Penney. So boom, working at a little 9 to 5, or not 9 to 5, but working a little part-time hustle, and then putting that back into your real side hustle or your business.
Yeah, so you got money from other places, doesn't have to come from the business. If you are starting a business, particularly students, I would really encourage you to try and start for as little money as possible.
Oh,
so
yeah.
explore what you have already available, explore tools, resources that are available maybe through your school. So are there things that you can use, maybe licenses on software or equipment that you can use that's available to you that might cost money outside? When you think of your idea, I want you to think about what the bare bones version of this idea is. So at its core, what does your idea do? How does it solve a problem for people? And then how do you do that as cheaply as possible? So you
And
can
then if
put
you
all
pitch
the
that
bells and
idea
whistles in.
amazingly, if you're able to pitch that idea, some people might pay you for your idea and to get that thing started. So I just wanted to add that in there, Rob.
Yeah, and this is also called pre-selling too. So you can have people back you early, or you can pre-sell. You can say like, "Hey, I'm going to do a car washing business. It's going to be $20 for an outside detail. Can you pay me in advance? And I will use that money to get my equipment, my brushes, my stuff for using to wash it." And you
Yep.
use the customer's money ahead of time, and then do the job. You'll find somebody who's willing to give you the money ahead of time to get you started, and then you
Yep.
just do the job for them. You can also borrow stuff. So like if you're going to do a landscaping business, maybe go find a neighbor who's got a lawnmower and be like, "Hey, can I borrow your lawnmower? I'll mow your grass for free. But in exchange, can I borrow your lawnmower and mow a couple of other people's grasses with it? I'll keep it filled up with gas and I'll bring it back in nice condition." And boom, you've got a piece of equipment that costs several $100s for free because all you're doing is mowing their grass and just kind of taking
Yep.
care of it.
Yep. And to that pre-sale point that you made, there's this guy who has a lot of followers on Instagram, and what he did when he first started his clothing t-shirt business, he got the printouts, got the designs and everything, and just posted them on social media. Pre-sale, da 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 da. So everybody who did the pre-sale, he used their money to go buy the physical, excuse me, to go buy the physical product. So that didn't take money. We're all on Instagram. We're all on TikTok. So imagine you going on online, even nowadays with AI. You know what I mean? Getting an AI design of your T-shirt or something of that nature, and then putting that on social media, doing pre-sale. Say 500 people. I mean, say about 50 people pay you whatever you're charging, and then you can take that money and go actually buy the actual product, and now you're rocking and rolling like that. So I think that's a great point that you made with the pre-sales.
Yeah, we got lots of different ways you can do that. If your dream business is something a little bit bigger and more expensive, think about, well, what does the simplified version of it look like? It may not be pretty. It may not be your dream just yet, but it's your way of getting to where you want to be that doesn't take money to get started. It doesn't take a lot of money. All
For
right.
sure.
The last barrier I threw up was I don't have an idea or anything I've thought of, somebody's already done before.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get over that? And then also, how do I come up with a business idea?
For sure, for sure. With us being so young, we have time to try and mess up. One of the guys that I interviewed on my podcast, his name is Haitian CEO, and he said to fail forward. And what I gathered by that was to go out there, try, and fail forward. So if we're failing, we're still further than we were when we started. So you fail forward and you keep on going, you keep on going, you keep on climbing, and then something's going to click. So that's what I would tell everybody is to just try out different things, try out different things, and then see what you're naturally good at. Whatever you're naturally good at, double down on that thing and see where it can take you. Because it's hard to not. I didn't find my true passion for financial literacy until I graduated or was about to graduate college my senior year. Because I was so focused on football. So for everybody listening, go out there, try different things. Whatever your school, like Rob said, with the free resources at your school, nonprofit organizations around you, Boys and Girls Club, the Urban League, Junior Achievement, all these different great nonprofits that may be around you. See what they're offering, and if they have some free resources, some free programs, take those. Get exposed to different things. Because I was watching a podcast, and the guy said exposure leads to expansion. Exposure leads to expansion. So go out there, try these different things, expand your brain, and see what you really like to do, see what you want to do, and then go out there and do it and make it happen. And the second thing you mentioned, for if other people already have it, or if the idea is already out there, see what they have, see what they're doing, and see where you can make it better. See where you can put your own spin on it. That's what I did when I started my podcast. I didn't really listen to podcasts when I was in college and high school. So when I got the idea to start one, what I did was I had to go out there and listen to the best. Who's the best podcasters? So I went out there and listened to the Earn Your Leisures, the Tom Bilal's, the all those type of different people of the world, to see what they're doing, what I like, what I don't like. Whatever you do like, put your spin on it. Whatever you don't like, don't do it. So that's a great option for you if you have something that you want to do, but it's already out there. See what they're doing good, see what they're not doing so well, improve it, put your fly spin on it, and then rock out just like that.
I love that. Yeah, because there's always room for more. That is the society we have built. That there will whatever business is on top today. Look forward 30 years, they're probably not still going to be on top. There's always some young upstart who is doing things different or better, and they knock the top business off their perch. And that goes at the small level too. Like, it doesn't matter what someone has done. There's room for another business and for you to be that person who's putting your own stamp on it and doing it your own way. And you only have to change a small amount to make it your own business. Like, you're not copying what someone else is doing. There aren't that many original, like totally brand new ideas born every year. I feel like most businesses I see start up are just similar to each other. Like, we have your car washes, we have your restaurants, we have your department stores or your clothing labels. Like, clothes aren't an original idea, but putting your own sign on it, absolutely.
You go to that bread aisle, you see how many different brands is at the bread aisle at the store.
Yeah. So I would jump on what Hassan said when it comes to coming up with an idea. And I want to add to what a Haitian CEO said. He said, fail forward. I would say fail fast and fail cheap too. So try some stuff out. Let's figure out really quick, is it going to work or not? If it doesn't, scrap it, go on to the next one. And you're going to do this with little money in. So it's not really a big risk to you. You can try some stuff out, see what works, see what doesn't work, and then learn from each one. So each time you do this, you're learning something new, and that's your forward motion. You're trying things out. People are starting to know that you are an entrepreneur. You're looking to sell things. They'll come to you with ideas, or they'll say, hey, you should try this out, or you should look at this person, talk to this guy or this girl. Like, they'll help you. And every time you do it, you're going to move forward.
Yeah, man. Just a quick point to that as well. when I started my podcast in 2020, I started on Zoom, no complicated softwares. I started on Anchor, which is now Spotify for podcasts, but I started on Anchor, which was a free service. I had a $40 mic from Amazon. So, and now we got the 4K cameras, we got the nice lights, got the mic stands and all those different things. So, like Rob said, start bare bones, see if people like it, see if the market likes it. And if they're tuning in, they're tapping in with you, grow as you grow or go as you grow. So as you're growing, boom, let's put some money back into the business. Let's get a new camera. Let's get a new this. So start with the bare bones idea, as Rob said, and then go as you grow.
And to find those ideas, just some other thoughts. What are you already good at? So, look inside, look at your skills, look at the things that you do pretty well. Look at the things you like to do. So those sometimes are different lists. What are you interested in? And then what are you good at? Those can be good places to kind of find some ideas that are a core of a business. If you're like, I don't think I'm good at anything, or I can't think of stuff that I like, ask other people, ask your best friend, ask your parents, hey, what do I do well? Or what am I good at? And see what they tell you. Sometimes you'll get more of an honest opinion from them than you will from yourself. And that can be a good place to kind of spark an idea. Do people ask you for help with anything? Does anyone come to you and say, hey, can you help me with this? Even if you're just 6'5" tall and you're really tall, that could be the start of a business where you are making something out of being taller than the average person. You got something that not everybody else has.
Yep.
What are your resources available? So we talked about the school. Do you know anybody? Do you live in an area where there's something particularly interesting or different that you can bring to others? What problems exist? So if you look within your school, start listing out what are all the problems in my school. So start making lists of problems and then start proposing solutions to those problems and just see, do any of these sound interesting to me? And then the final one will be just go search up ideas. What are other ideas for teen businesses or quick startups or cheap startups, whatever you want to search? Google is full of this stuff. Yep. And if you really want to look for one, you can go to thesimplestartup.com/ideas. I've put together 102 business ideas for young entrepreneurs there. And I know Hassan's got a couple he wants to talk about as well. So we'll definitely get to those. But there's tons of ideas. Pick one, go with it, see how it feels. If you don't like it, give up on it, try the next thing. I would say give it about, what would you say, Hassan? Maybe 3 months to kind of really test an idea out to see if it's got some legs or not?
Yeah, I would say definitely about 3 months. See how it's going for you. You don't never want to stop too early on something just because it's not picking up in the first week or two. I know we oftentimes, we get on Instagram and we see, oh, this person's a billionaire, and we see they put a little 15-second clip together that makes it look like it was just piece of cake for them to be where they're at now. So that's not true. They only show you the highlights on Instagram or TikTok, wherever you guys are at. So yeah, stay in there about 3 months, see what's working, see what's not, see if you can tweak some things. And if you're really not enjoying it and the people aren't liking it, yeah, maybe go ahead and put it down and find something else.
Yeah. I always find if I ask my students to pick 20 business ideas that they could do, it's much easier than picking one. And then from that 20, maybe start labeling them in terms of like 1 to 20. Which one are you most excited about? Which one's cheap to start? And as soon as plan A is done and you're like, it's not working, on to plan B, and you've got your next one ready to go. And by the time you get through those 20 ideas, you're going to either have learned a ton or you're going to have found the one that really works well.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent in the best option is to have options. So if you can get a lot of options and try a lot of different things and narrow it down, now you got 5 of them that you really, really want to do. I think that would be great for a great place to start for everyone.
All right, you ready to take some questions?
Let's do it.
All right, so if you are watching live and you have questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section on YouTube. We will get to those. I have a couple from my students. Stephanie wanted to know if I'm bringing money in. So she's got a good problem. Money's coming in. Should I be putting all of it back into my business, or is it okay to take some of it out for myself?
Okay, so that's a great question. I would say just first of all, understanding the things that you need to pay for, understanding what you may be saving for, what are you taking it out for, and if those reasons are valid to you, because everything is about you, what works for you. So if it's valid for you, then I would say take a certain percentage out. That's perfectly fine. But then also realize what is needed to be reinvested back into the business to make it grow. So I would first figure out, okay, this business, we're making $200. The business needs about $75 to grow. Okay, boom. I know every month that I need to take out $75 of my $200 profit and put it into this business. So that's where you can really start seeing. So I think the first step for you, Stephanie, is to understand what the business needs, understand what you need and what you want, and what you're actually taking it out for. And then, because we gotta use money as a tool. We gotta use money as a tool to, not only make our business grow and have a successful business, but for also for ourselves, so we can feel safe, so we can feel secure, and so we can have a little fun. Don't let them lie to you and tell you that you can't have fun with your money.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what you said with the why. If you're doing this because you want to fund some part of your lifestyle, that's your why. So if you deprive yourself and you put all the money back into the business for a long time, you might lose motivation for it. Versus if you're like, yeah, some of this money's fun money. Like I want to do some fun things that I can't normally do because I don't have the money for it. By all means, take some out. Just know that if you take too much out, you're going to reduce the ability of your business to grow. Typically, a lot of businesses, the growth comes from being able to buy more materials or do more advertising, or maybe bring on someone else to help you. And those are parts that might take a little bit more money. So just be aware of, how do you want to grow? What's that going to take? What's your plan for getting there? This should be very common for most personal finance students. This is your budget. So what are your money goals? What's your budget for your business? What's your personal one? And then if there's money left over, by all means, it's yours.
For sure, for sure. That's the beautiful thing about having your own business.
That's right. You get to call the shots. You get to decide when you work, how much money you make, all those things.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now Bree asked a question. This was an interesting one. How much should I charge? Because she already has a business, but she really struggles with charging for her time.
That's great. That's great. So I would say charge off the value that you provide your customers. If you're looking and whatever you're doing for your customers is a long lasting value, I would say charge them accordingly. I don't know your business. I don't know, what you're providing. So I can't give you a specific number, but I would say to charge off the value that you're providing, and also charge, as we told Stephanie, understand what needs to go back into that business. So you need to understand what is going to be your revenue, is going to be your top line. So how much ever money that you're making. But if you want to have a certain amount of profit, let that reflect in the amount of how much you're charging, but also for the amount of how many customers you need to hit that certain goal. So I hope that makes sense. But to make sure that you look at the value that you're providing, the amount of that you're charging, to make sure that you're covering any profit or anything that you want to do with your business profit. So that's how I would kind of, dictate how much I'm going to be charging customers.
Yeah, you want to make sure you're hitting your goals. Some of the more basic models are whatever it costs you to provide this product or service, make sure you're charging more than that. So you can sometimes multiply it. So whatever the cost is, double it, and that's your price, or do 1.5. So that makes sure you make a profit. You can look at the industry standards. So what are other people who do a similar business to you charging? And you can either put yourself in the middle and say, I'll be average. You can undercharge them to try and win some business, or you can go higher than them and say, you know what? I'm amazing. What I do is amazing. I do it better than these guys. So I should be able to charge more for it.
That premium. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I love that. I love that, Rob. I love what you said there. And that goes back to educating yourself while you're hopping out there and, getting active, seeing what the competition's doing. And like Rob said, okay, am I going to be mid price? Am I going to be premium? Am I going to be lower so everybody can afford it? So that's great, great advice that you mentioned, Rob.
And Sam asked this one, and I think this kind of goes in with the price a little bit, is it's kind of, to paraphrase it, how do you deal with imposter syndrome? Because how do you charge when you're like, I'm an amateur, like I'm just getting started. Like, how do I charge a price similar to what other people are doing? Or how do I charge for my time at all? Like, who am I to charge money? Like, I'm a high school kid. How would you deal with that?
So that's going back to what I said in the beginning. Once you educate yourself, man, once you you're putting in that work and you've put in your 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 hours of work, it is no imposter syndrome because you know you were the one watching those YouTube videos, listening to those podcasts, talking to different customers. That was you. That wasn't an imposter. That was you. So once you're putting in that work, once you put in that effort, there is no imposter syndrome because you were the one doing that. So that is a great question for everybody. But as I said, if you really put in the work, you really put in the hours, there is no imposter syndrome. That was you, and you deserve to go out there and provide value and go out there and make money from the value that you've built up within yourself. Now, if you haven't done any of the pre-work, if you haven't done any of those things, that's where imposter syndrome I could see that creeping in. So if you put the work in the beginning and continue to do the work and continue to elevate, there can't be any imposter syndrome.
No, I think it comes down to, like you said, the quality of what you're doing. So if you're providing value, if you've practiced, if you're really good at this, you're better than the average person at something, you should be able to charge for it because you can do it better than they can. So they should be able to pay for it. Now, can you charge the same as someone who's been doing this their entire life and they are the top expert on it? Maybe not yet, but emphasis on yet. Like, you can keep raising your prices and you can keep growing as your own skill set grows and your customer base grows. Eventually you might find out, you know what, I don't have time to grow with more customers. So instead I'm going to grow with my price, and I'm going to keep raising that price until I find the sweet spot of I have enough people buying and I'm putting as much time in as I want. Particularly if you are a service-based business. So you are trading your time directly for dollars. So like maybe you're pet sitting, car washing, mowing grass, things like that, where you are just exchanging your time for money. The only way to grow once you've kind of maxed out your time is to increase your prices. And that's a great kind of way to just build yourself up to where you should be.
And I have a quick gem for everybody. I was getting interviewed by the podcast called Capital Gains Podcast, and they asked me, should everybody, is everybody capable of teaching, creating a product, being an entrepreneur? And I said yes. You know why? Because if someone has a 600 credit score, they can literally help everyone who has below a 600 credit score get to where they're at. Now, for anybody who may not know about credit scores, a 600 is average. The best you can get is an 850. So a 600 is just average. So, but my point is that person who has that 600 can help every single person below them get to where they're at in that 600 type of credit score. So I don't want you to look at the top person in your industry and feel like, man, I can't do that because they're doing this, they're doing that. Help people get to where you are. And then as you continue to elevate, now you're reaching back to them and bringing them up with you. So that's kind of what I wanted to make there.
Yeah, I had a student before do video game coaching, and they're not a pro esports player, but they're pretty good at the game they play. And whatever the game was, they had like a level or a score that reflected that they were a relative expert in this, and they were able to charge for lessons to get to where they were. Same thing with music, same thing with sports. Like, if you are better than someone who's getting started, you can show them how to get to where you are.
Facts.
I find
having that social. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I find my business, Simple Startups, it's one of my other ones. I specialize in helping entrepreneurs to get started. So I'm not your multi-million-dollar one that Damon John's going to be picking up and being like, okay, yeah, this is really cool. Like, I'm the person who helps you get started, gets the first step, gets the ball rolling, and then you will become a much bigger business than I will probably at some point, because you're going to keep growing. Versus I'm very happy to stay in that niche of beginner startups.
For sure. And what you said about that certain student who had that video game score, to show that they're the expert, or show that they have some type of quality that may be better than others, that brought me to think of something called social proof. In this day and age, we have to have social proof that we're doing what we're doing. If you say you're an entrepreneur and you have a business selling t-shirts, and I get on your Instagram and I don't see no t-shirts, that is not a good thing. So you have to have social proof. You have to have your family members having got a perfect example. So what I did was to create immediate social proof for my t-shirt business. It was my birthday, my 23rd birthday, about 2 years ago. And what I did was I had my family, because they were throwing me a party for my birthday. I had my family model my t-shirts. So I recorded them coming out. I made it a big deal. We played music, all those different things, and they were modeling. Everybody had fun. But what that did, that created social proof. So it's like, man, not only is Hassan saying that he's coming out with a t-shirt line, people are already rocking them. People are already, swagging and looking good with them. So that creates immediate social proof. So for everybody listening, go out there, get people to support your brand, get people to buy your product, but also create content around that. Also take pictures, also get testimonials, reviews, all those different things. Because I heard somebody, and they were like, um, the word of mouth marketing and the testimonial type marketing is way better than you personally as an entrepreneur saying, hey, try my product, hey, try this, hey, try that. So if other people can brag on it for you, you're on the way.
Yeah, no, it's a very important part of the science of persuasion and getting people to believe you are an authority. Is just to have anybody, it doesn't even matter if they're your best friend or your mom, anybody saying that you are good at what you do is going to be helpful with that. And social proof can be a physical product, so something you've made, you can show people. It can be a taste test if you're making something like food wise. It can be numbers, so like a score on a video game or an SAT score or a GPA. Like those are all social proof that you are good at whatever it is you say you're doing. So try and think about that. Like, how can I show people that I already do this, or I'm already good at it, or I've already created these things for my business? Like anything like that would just help boost you up. I love that. All right, Hassan, you had a couple of businesses you wanted to tell us about. So I do want to get those examples in. What were your example businesses? Because Dave
For
was kind of
sure, for
asking that too.
sure.
Like, what do you do?
Most definitely, most definitely. So, one of the examples that I want to start with for everybody is drop shipping. Drop shipping is a great business that everybody can participate in. If you have a computer, if you have a phone, some type of digital device, and I would say the biggest benefit of drop shipping is that there's no manual labor of buying and shipping inventory, and you're just able to lock in and focus on marketing and customer service. So what drop shipping looks like, there is a customer, there is a third party supplier, the person that's supplying your actual product, and then there's you. So what you would represent would be an online marketplace or an online storefront. So think of it like that. You have an online business, you have an online shop, and then you have a third party supplier. So you're marketing, you're marketing, you're marketing. Let's just keep it easy. Let's do t-shirts. You're marketing your t-shirts, and then someone wants to buy that t-shirt. So that customer comes to your online storefront, your website, they purchase that shirt, and they're going to purchase that shirt, let's say for $10. I mean, let's say for $20. Then, after they purchase that shirt, you would send that order information to your third party supplier. The third party supplier only wants $10. So then they make the shirt, they handle shipping, which is huge. And we talked about starting things low and keeping costs low. They're handling shipping, they're handling inventory, they're handling all of that manual stuff that would normally cost a lot of money. They're handling that, but they're also making their profit of $10. They're sending that out to the customer, so everybody's happy. You have your $20, you pay 10 to your drop shipper, your third party supplier. Your customer then gets the product, so they're happy. You're happy because you have a $10 profit, and the third party supplier, that drop shipper, is happy because they have the $10 that they wanted. So that's why I believe drop shipping is a great, great method to get started with. I actually started doing the drop shipping process in 2020. It worked pretty well until my website got hacked out, unfortunately. So definitely be aware of that. I honestly did not go get it back. I started with FYI FLI in 2020 as well. So I kind of put all of my energy and passion into that. But I was on Shopify. So definitely look out Shopify. I'm sure. Rob, how do you feel about Shopify? Do you like it?
I had a Shopify store for a little while. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
not too hard to use. And drop shipping can work in lots of different ways. Like, for example, the t-shirt business you were talking about, like you can start with a company like Teespring or Redbubble, where you create the design, you create a storefront on these websites. And if someone goes there, buys a t-shirt, you never have to touch the t-shirt. It just gets made for you, sent to the customer. You get to shave your little bit of profit off the top, and the manufacturing company makes the majority of the money, but it's a very cheap way to get started. But same kind of idea here. Yeah, like the Teespring might be your basic idea, no cost involved. And then you go to a Shopify store, because there might be a little bit of cost in setting that one up or buying a website name or something like that. But that might be your next step up. And you get to keep a little bit more of the profit now because you're taking on a little bit more. And you build up and you build up. And then eventually maybe you become a t-shirt store where you've got your own boxes of stuff and you're shipping it out yourself and you're making the $20 instead of splitting it with someone else. But yeah, I love that. It's a very great business idea. And the company who's making the stuff, like you might ask, well, why can't they just go straight to the company? They don't want to deal with that. They want somebody else to do all the marketing and find the customers. And they just want to do what they do, which is make cool t-shirts. So you being the person to sell it is valuable to them. So they're kind of like your customer too.
For sure. So that's a great option for people to get started with. Definitely hope everybody wrote down some of the websites that Rob mentioned, because I haven't heard of those. So definitely write those down. I'm sure everybody knows about Shopify, but that sounds like a great option. And then piggybacking off that, creating a course. We talked about earlier, Rob said, find out what you're good at. Ask people what you're good at. Go and try out different things. So see what you're kind of naturally good at. And then, oh yeah, Rob talked about digital products. So doing what Rob does, he creates digital products for people. And the thing is, Rob only created that one time. And he's able to sell and market that over and over again. So that's why Rob has that time freedom to do whatever he wants when he wants, because he's created a digital product one time, markets it, probably runs a little ads on it, on social media ads on it, and people are going to his website buying it, and he doesn't have to ship anything. He doesn't have to do anything of that nature because it's a digital product. So for whatever that you want to do, whatever you're naturally talented at, create a digital product, an e-course around that, showing people how to do whatever you're good at. And let me tell you why that's such a big benefit. So whenever you guys want to learn something new, you'll go on YouTube, you'll go on Google, you'll have to watch 15 different videos on YouTube. You have to read 3 or 4 different articles on Google. You have to do all these different things, go all these different places and try to piece information together for that one topic. Well, why the course creation is such a benefit to people who want to learn what you know how to do is streamlined. Everything they need to know is in one centralized place that they can then learn and then go earn from what they just learned. So that's why a course creation or creating some type of online course can be beneficial for you, because you're only doing it one time and selling it over and over again. But it's also beneficial for that student or for whoever's your customer. It's beneficial for them because you got all the information in one place. So that's a great one as well. What do you think, Rob?
Oh, I definitely agree. Like I have a course for my simple startup where I show young entrepreneurs how to start their own business. And the first time I did it, I sat in my basement, I put a camera in front of me and I recorded, I think 10 lessons on how to start a business. And I sold it, let's see, via Eventbrite. So Eventbrite is a free platform for creating events. So people can sign up, they can pay money. So it'll take credit cards, they'll send you the money and then you just have to deliver. And all I did was I did like live Zoom events. So like I would get on Zoom and I would talk to students about, here's how you start a business. And then I would record those and I would make the videos available later. And that just became the basis of an online course teaching kids how to start their own business. And now it just exists forever on thesimplestartup.com. And anyone can sign up whenever they want. It takes them through the course by themselves. So there's no live part to it anymore. And that's just something that lives in the background and will hopefully be relevant forever, because I don't think that basics of starting a business are going to change anytime soon.
Yep, something evergreen. So that's a huge point. And I'll round it off with starting a podcast or a blog. I think everyone should start some type of podcast, blog, around something. Yes, YouTube channel around something that they're passionate about, because one, it creates a network. And when I say network, I mean people of like a community of like-minded individuals that all care about what you care about. Because if they're listening, then they obviously care about what topic you're talking about, because if they didn't, they wouldn't be there, because there's so many different things that people could be doing. So if they're tapping in, so my podcast, we maybe started with like 10 listeners, but I know those 10 listeners are people who care about building wealth, people who care about not living paycheck to paycheck, not struggling. So then I could backdoor start a course on that and send it out to those 10 people, because I know they really care. So that podcast, that YouTube channel, that blog could lead you to so many different ways. It's led me to speaking. It's led me to writing books. It's led me to being on here with people amazing like Rob, and being here with you all. So that's something that everybody else can do. And the ways that you can monetize those things is through affiliate links, different ads and sponsorships, and also selling products, like I said. So it's a much easier way for you to sell that product, because the person knows you, they trust you, they've built up a bit of rapport with you. So then it's kind of easier to sell that digital product or that course that we just talked about.
Yeah, and creating stuff like this is a little bit more of a long game. This wouldn't be your quick startup. You will start one of these things, it supplements or it supports another business, but it can turn into a business by itself. For example, I have a student right now, and she has a TikTok that has over 500,000 followers, which is like a
Wow.
mind-blowing number to me, like how you accumulate so many followers as a high school student. But now
Yeah.
she's having brands approach her and say, look, will you just like open up a box that we send you on a live video, and we will pay you $500 or whatever it is for it. Like, just having an audience will now start attracting people to you. And then your platform becomes something that people are willing to pay for. So businesses might pay you to use products, or for ads, or for recommendations, things like that. But it's created around something that I think she's just very passionate about. And she wasn't doing it for money in the beginning, but money is now coming. So it's kind of one of those things that I have YouTube, I have social media. It doesn't make me any money directly, but it does support my other business, which does make money. So that's kind of where you can build your authority in the space, or you can send people to your business. All right, Hassan, I got
100%.
one final question for
100%.
you, man. You ready for the big
Yes,
question?
sir. I'm here.
All right. So if you had to give one piece of advice to teens about building wealth, so what's your number one piece of advice you would give to teens about building wealth? I always ask every guest this question.
hmm Yes, that's a great question. I would say my number one piece of advice would be to be personable, be purposeful, and be perseverant. And I say that to say, one, we need to be personable, because whether we're working for a company, whether we're working and starting our own business, our own side hustle, we're going to be working with people. And those people need to like you. And if they like you, the business will thrive more business will get done. That's how I feel that I've gotten so far in these last 3 years. I've always been a personable person, but when I got into business, I see that being personable is an asset. Being personable, like even with LinkedIn has become more of a business Facebook, because people want to see that you're business like, but you have some human and personality that they would want to be around. So I think being personable will lead you to those deals, will lead you to those big money conversations, and then also being purposeful, having some type of purpose around what you're doing. Because yes, the money is good, but the money should be a byproduct of you reaching your goals, you reaching your big time dream. So being purposeful will lead you to where you want to be, and then being perseverant. Whenever we have an obstacle, one thing that I like to leave people with is to make a plan and make a play. That's how simple life can be. Whenever you have that big obstacle, you look at what's going on, you look at that scenario, you make a plan, and then you make a play. So be perseverant, be purposeful, and be personable. and I promise you, you'll be on that road to riches.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. That's a really great piece of wisdom right there, guys. And it all had P's too. Like, I love the alliteration.
PPP. We ain't talking about the loans though.
No. Okay, so the last question I had for you on your student reflection document is, what is your next business idea going to be? So really try and think about it. Don't just sit on this and be like, oh, that was a nice presentation. Yeah, I learned a lot of stuff. Take action on what you heard today. Start listing your 20 possible business ideas. Pick one that you're like, you know what, I'm going to try this first. Think about, how can I start this idea for free? What's it at its most basic core in terms of this idea? Let's start that right now. Let's give it 3 months or so to really see if it's going to turn into something or not. And then if it does, great. If not, move on to the next idea. But don't wait. There's no great time. There's no perfect moment where you're like, oh yeah, this is the moment right now to start a business. It's right now where you are. This is the time to start something and start learning. Start failing fast, start failing for cheap, and start failing forward. I don't have 3 F's there. I need to get another F in there.
Hey, we'll get it. We'll get it, man. We'll get it.
Hassan, thank you so much for your time today. Where can people find you if they want to follow you, learn more from you, see your content? Where should we send them?
For sure. So definitely tap in with me on Instagram at FYI FLI, and then also at CEO Sani, CEO SANNI. And then you can also find me at LinkedIn. I think everybody.
We might have lost you there for a second, but yeah, everyone should have a LinkedIn is probably what he's about to say. And make sure you check out Hassan Thomas on LinkedIn. All right. Thank you all so much for being here today. Really appreciate you joining us for the first episode of season 2 of this personal finance guest speaker series. I will be back with more guest speakers over the course of this year. So keep an eye out, subscribe on FYEducator.com to get live updates about when new speakers are going to be, and keep an eye on this YouTube channel. Make sure you hit subscribe and follow so you can get updates on any new speakers coming your way. Hassan, thank you so much for your time today. We'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.